Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Thursday the 24th of May 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the political news today. And to start with, something from the UK to Brussels, Britain's official position paper will be published this morning, and it's key because of what it will say. It will lodge a strong objection to EU plans to exclude Britain from the Galileo project. A little bit more on that just in a second. But the key thing as well, in addition to this, it will also demand repayment of more than €1 billion of British contributions to the Galileo project if the EU stand firm and refuse the UK access to it post-Brexit. Now, what is the Galileo project? It's a space programme which is EU-wide, and what it does, it's an encrypted navigation system for government and military users, and the idea behind it is the UK was a part of it. It contributed to the project. Post-Brexit, what seems to be happening now is that there is question marks over whether the EU wants to allow the UK to have access to the project and indeed the encrypted navigation system, particularly for military use. And crucially, what the EU is saying is it doesn't want to allow Britain access to the codes that control the system, and theoretically therefore allows the EU to switch off the military component of the service to the UK at will. In other words, the UK will not have access to what the UK has contributed towards in terms of a security partnership. Now, why is this stinging a little bit? And you'll see reports today, particularly from Whitehall and indeed the Cabinet, that there are really strong objections to this from the UK. And in fact, it's something which seems to be unifying the Cabinet and indeed a lot of the government as well. It's because it seemed to be a betrayal of the security pledge that was made between the UK and the EU in the early days of Brexit. Theresa May made the point that security should not be compromised as a result of the Brexit negotiations. The EU as well seemed to be agreeing on the principle that the security partnerships should be continued and extended regardless of the Brexit vote. Despite this, the UK is being seen, or at least the implications of pulling out or not allowing the UK access to the Galileo project, is that the EU Commission do not trust the UK sufficiently enough to allow them access to the codes, allow them access to the projects for the security partnership to be extended. Now, it comes also as reports say that Britain sent a second warning to Brussels on Wednesday this week, saying that public safety will be put at risk without a bespoke deal on security as part of the Brexit agreement. Now, this is something as well which hasn't gone down well in terms of the EU27. Reports are coming through from a lot of papers today that there are a number of countries which are unhappy with the EU Commission's stance towards the Galileo project and the security relationship with the UK. Germany seems to be, in terms of the report, seems to be pushing this idea of not allowing the UK access to the Galileo project. However, diplomats from France, Spain, Sweden and the Netherlands and the Baltic states have privately objected to the European Commission's treatment of Britain in terms of this. That's in the reports today. And as I said as well, Greg Clark, Gavin Williamson, Philip Hammond, all remain inclined ministers, senior ministers in the Cabinet, have actually been some of the strongest critics of the EU's position on this. So watch this space. This seems to be an issue which has rumbled on over the past few months and something which seems to be coming as a bit of a flash issue in the Brexit negotiations now. So certainly probably some more lines on this today. Next up, Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour leader, is making his first visit to Northern Ireland as Labour leader today. He's going to be making a speech in Belfast, and in it he's going to reportedly be demanding fresh action to restore power sharing. Now, Northern Ireland's been without a devolved government since January last year, as the coalition led by the DUP and Sinn Féin collapsed. The power sharing agreement there collapsed, and since then it's been run effectively on day-to-day government-wise by civil servants. What's being overshadowed, though, in the reports today, and it's led in the Telegraph, but it's also been reported across the news in The Guardian as well, is that Corbyn has still made the point that he still believes in Irish reunification, so Northern Ireland rejoining the Republic of Ireland to unify the island of Ireland itself. Now, he has also insisted, or The Guardian is reporting, that he said it was now a matter for the people to decide through the process set out in the Belfast Agreement in terms of the reunification. But a spokesman last night in the reports which have come through this morning have said, over the years, Corbyn made his position clear that a majority of those people across the whole of Ireland want to see that outcome, a united Ireland. Now, why is this important? Well, in terms of Brexit, and in terms of the questions over the effect it will have on the stability of the peace and the peace process in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, this is something which will be worrying to a number of people on both sides, but particularly for unionists in Northern Ireland, that the leader of Her Majesty's opposition is making these kind of noises at a time when the process of Brexit is causing some delicate comments to be made, and at least the perception that the Ireland process is in a delicate phase at the moment. So no doubt you'll hear some lines from that today, particularly post Jeremy Corbyn's speech. Don't know when it's happening, but it'll be sometime later on today. Finally, one more story. Best for Britain. You've probably heard of them, a big campaign group which is seen very much on the softer Brexit /Remain 2.0 side of the whole Brexit referendum debate. Now, the Mail have got a copy of their 24-page presentation document, and what they're running with is a plan to subvert or put down or vote down Brexit and their tactics for doing it. So what to expect in the next few months from Brest to Britain, if we believe these slides and these reports. What it's done is it's set out a battle plan for a summer-long campaign to change people's minds on Brexit, and then, crucially, put pressure on MPs in the autumn to vote down the Brexit withdrawal bill and all the Brexit legislation which will be coming to Parliament at that time, hopefully then to overturn government decisions and indeed to defeat government on key Brexit policies. The focus also, which was interesting, is convincing Brexit-backing Labour voters to switch sides. So really going for the Labour areas where they voted Brexit to hopefully convince them the other way, with a Labour against Brexit speaking tour planned in August, reportedly, and big pressure on Brexit-backing Labour leadership, or rather components on the Labour leadership, to really push the Labour Party and indeed the Labour position towards a softer Brexit, or at least something which might be defeating the government when that legislation comes through in autumn. Very interesting, also plan to lobby Jeremy Corbyn's backers at the Unite Union to change Jeremy Corbyn's stance as well, in terms of towards a far softer or rather no Brexit at all. Interestingly as well, in terms of budget, they hope to spend, according to reports, more than £5 million on this project over the next few months, up until autumn, if it hits its fundraising targets, as Beth for Britain outlined in those slides. So certainly something that we perhaps will look forward to or expect in the coming months, all the way up to autumn. Very much in saying that the noise and rather the arguments over Brexit very much aren't over. That's pretty much it for today, and indeed this week. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest on what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and Twitter right here. We're not here tomorrow, and of course it's a bank holiday on Monday, so we won't be bringing you stuff then. It's recess next week, but we'll still be here Tuesday around about 9 o'clock. See you then.